So not only are you trying to take them from their families and cause grief to their families, not only are you trying to wipe the culture, but anything that you don't like or does not conform to the image that you have, these children are what we call بالعربي صفر على الشمال, someone that doesn't count. And abuse and graves and murder was something that was on the table. It was an option and it was heavily exercised. But again, let's look at the legacy this left behind. I said that roughly the indigenous population now in the last census is about 5% of the population. However, they form 35% of unhomed or homeless people in Canada. So again, you see there's this disproportionate level of people going through challenges, and this comes from the generational difficulty. This comes from lack of the privilege that we have and the lack thereof that they have from what we got. And don't misunderstand me, as immigrants, as Muslims, as so on, we went through many challenges in the previous generations, and to this generation we continue to struggle with a lot of challenges with how we can practice and preserve our religion and our norms and our cultures in Western society. But again, take a step back and realize that this for hundreds of years has already happened. And there's an example of people who went through this living among us, and we see the aftermath of that today. Another statistic is about suicide rates. Suicide rates in indigenous population, in women in indigenous population, is 8 times higher than the national average. And the last statistic that I want to mention is that 54% of foster care is from indigenous families. Again, we're talking about, think of the generational problems that are caused by someone who went through these difficulties and challenges. This is a study of its own, is what happens to someone when they go through this difficulty, away from their family, taken from their family, what this gap that it builds, this lack of stability that it builds in that person, and how that affects their ability to be there for their family, their children, and so on. So again, it's not like one day we snap out of this and this is no longer happening and all the problems are solved, but there are challenges that continue generation after generation that have to be resolved because of these issues that have happened. As a closing remark, again, I want to remind us that this is not an issue that's far from us, it's an issue that's among us. This is any issue that we see injustice, we need to do something about. And as the Prophet ﷺ said, if we see مَنْ رَأَ مِنْكُمْ مُنْكَرًا, whoever sees something that is wrong or unjust or unfair, فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ, so let him change it with his hand, meaning take action. And if they can't, then with their tongue, they should say something about it, they should encourage others to do something about it.